Yes, I just got in this afternoon, and it's a pleasure to be here. You're beautiful ladies, so let me start off with some beauty tips. For attractive lips, speak words of kindness. For lovely eyes, seek out the good in people. For a slim figure, share your food with the hungry. I guess it means eat less food. For poise, walk with the knowledge you'll never walk alone. People, even more than things, have to be restored, renewed, revived, reclaimed and redeemed. Never throw out anybody. Remember, if you ever need a helping hand, you'll find one at the end of your arm. As you grow older, you'll discover that you have two hands, one for helping yourself and the other for helping others. The beauty of a woman is not the clothes she wears, the figure that she carries, or the way she combs her hair. The beauty of a woman must be seen from in her eyes, because that is a doorway to her heart, the place where love resides. The beauty of a woman is not a facial mole, but true beauty in a woman is reflected in her soul. It is the caring that she lovingly gives, the passion that she shows, and the beauty of a woman with passing years only grows. Anybody who knows me knows that I usually start with a joke, so bear with my joke. A little girl goes to her mom, "Mom, where do we come from?" She says, "Oh, we come from Hashem, we come from Adam and Chava." Wow. She goes to her father, "Tati, where do we come from?" "Oh, we come from monkeys and apes." So she goes back to my mommy, "I don't understand. You tell me we come from Hashem. You tell me we come from Adam and Chava. Tati says we come from monkeys and apes." So the mother answers, "Honey, I'm telling you where my side of the family comes." It's a joke, so don't repeat this at home, that's for sure. I was speaking once at a convention, and it was basically like this. And the women liked it. They said continue. I said, instead of continuing, let's do something else. Let's go around the room. We're going to call up people who need brachas, different types of brachas. I said, let's start with people who need bracha for refuah shlema, and I'd like to dedicate this for refuah shlema for several people. Anyone else who needs refuah shlema? So we called up the people's name and the mother's name, and I said, be sure to say amen. So we said amen. We went on to people who need brachas to get married for shidduchim, and again we said the name, the mother's name, people were getting very emotional. We ended up with people who wanted to have children, who could not have children, and again we said the name, the mother's name. All of a sudden a lady calls up from the far left with a thick accent, "I won a bracha to win the lottery." And people started to laugh. "Hello, we want this, you want that?" I said, "But why are you laughing? This lady wants a bracha to win the lottery, so say amen." So everybody said with great kavana, "Amen, Rebbetzin." The end of the convention, I have witness to this, there were 7 raffle prizes. That lady won 5 out of 7 prizes. And we saw with our own eyes when we, the Jewish woman, when we say Amen Rebbetzin, how powerful it is. So my dear sisters, all sisters from the same mother, Sarah Meno, please all together, anyone you can think who needs a refuah shlema should have refuah shlema immediately. Say Amen. Amen. Anybody who needs to get married should get married and have shalom bayis. Amen. Anybody who wants to have children should have children and have nachas from them. Amen. Anybody who wants to win the lottery should win the lottery. Amen. That's the biggest amen of all. Why does that get the biggest amen? But the biggest bracha, of course, obviously, is that Mashiach should come now. Because when that happens, everything else falls into place. People ask me tonight, where are you from? I'm a typical wandering Jew. I actually grew up in Stamford Hill, but I was born in India to Persian parents. They happened to be living there at the time. And I grew up in Stamford Hill, got married, moved to Italy, and now I'm living in the States. And the next place will be Yerushalayim. All of us together, amen. That's it. So let me just share with you a few things that hopefully will be inspirational for the topic tonight. I'd like to start off with the story of my sister. I have a sister, Leah, a couple of years older than myself. Her story is really, you can't even make this up. You know, Persian in the ancient days when I was younger, people got married very young, and she got married very young. She had a child. She had a horrendous marriage, and unfortunately she ended up getting divorced. And she got turned off totally. Who needs marriage? Who needs men? She said, I'm going to live my life dedicating myself to my daughter. And a little bit she went off the derech, you know, why did Hashem do bad things to good people? But as you know, everybody does tshuva. She was living in Stamford Hill, and she started going to Chabad House in Stamford Hill, and she started learning in the Chabad House what Hashem teaches about marriage. Rambam teaches that a husband has to honor his wife yoter midai and love her as himself. Of course, he also teaches that a wife should honor the husband like a king, like there should be a queen. So she started learning this. She says, wow, this sounds amazing. And yeah, I'm ready to take the plunge again. And she told me, Sarah, I'm going to come in for your son's bar mitzvah. God bless him, my son right now is a grandfather, so this is how many years ago? He's just turned 45, so how many years ago was this bar mitzvah? How many years ago was that? I don't remember. He was, oh yeah, that's how many years ago. So this story happened 32 years ago. I was in the States already 2 years. I was living there. And my sister told me, Sarah, I'm going to come for David's bar mitzvah, and I'm ready for you to fix me up with a shidduch, because before she said, I don't want to. I was so happy. Baruch Hashem, finally she wants. But the only thing is, I did not know too many people because I was new to the States. I asked a very good friend of mine, Rivka Katzen, who lives in Crown Heights. I said, Rivka, please find someone for my sister. Find someone who could give her the nurturing and the love that she did not get the first time around. So she checked into different names. She says, oh, there's someone perfect for your sister. The only thing is, he lives in the Midwest, in Cleveland, Ohio, and I keep calling him to come, but he, you know, doesn't have time. He's so busy, so eligible. I said, just keep calling, nudging, see if he'll do it. What I did next was what I did every single day. I would drive in from Queens to Crown Heights to 770, and I would stand in the lobby of 770, Mincha time. The Rebbe would come out 3:15 and out of his room, walk across the lobby, daven Mincha, and walk back again. And I just had to be there every single day just to get a glimpse of this magnificent holy face. That particular day I went in. I wrote a little petek for my sister, Leah Bas Miriam, on a bracha for shidduch. And something funny happened that day. Both times when the Rebbe came out of his room and he went back in again, he looked at me through the crowd. I mean, he knew me already, but he's smiling, this huge smile, and he's nodding, and people noticed that, what was that about? I said, I don't know, I just asked for bracha for my sister. And this is what happened. My sister flew in from New York to the States, and she came to my house, and we're talking, and I said, you know, I'm working on someone for you, hopefully it will happen. She says, thank you, Sarah, but no, thank you. I said, what do you mean no? I was looking forward to fixing this for you, telling me no. She said, well, I don't know how to tell you this, but there was somebody sitting next to me on the plane. We hit it off, and we have a date tomorrow in Crown Heights. I said, please, give me a break. Who can this be? You don't know who he is. She says, no, he's nice. He's, don't like the word frum. He's nice. It's just a date. I said, fine. I'm embarrassed to tell you what comes next. I went with my sister on a date. I mean, you know, I had to drive her in. The only thing is I forgot to leave. You know, I was sitting there watching her, watching him, like for 2 hours. I was very protective of her. Finally, after 2 hours of trying to get rid of me, they realized, okay, they exchanged phone numbers and addresses, and he went. Me and my sister are standing on the corner of Kingston and Eastern Parkway. And I told my sister, you know, Rivka Katzen's apartment is right here. That's where she used to live. Let's go upstairs and tell her, forget about the other guy. You can't have two at the same time. She said, fine. Went upstairs, had a cup of tea, told her what happened. Very nice. Finally, she says, what's the man's name? As soon as we said his name, she just burst out crying. She says, I don't believe this, she says. This is the same person. I've been working and calling and nudging. I don't have time. I can't come in. She said, what happened? I said, I don't know. What had happened was this. He lived in Cleveland, Ohio. He went to the States. Coming back, I'm going to say he went to Israel. Coming back to the States, his plane makes a stopover in London. My sister gets on that same plane. And who do you think Hashem puts next to one another in this huge plane? These two. But the funny part was this. They had both changed their seats. They weren't supposed to be sitting there. He was sitting next to somebody with a screaming baby, and men are not crazy about screaming babies, you know. He changed his seat. She was sitting next to somebody with a very bad cold. She said, I don't want to get sick. She changed her seat. They ended up sitting next to one another. They hit it off, and that's what happened. Afterwards, he said, no way would he have gone all the way in from Cleveland to New York to visit my sister. What happened was, time went by, it was about a month later, and they decided, yeah, we're going to get engaged. They told the Rebbe, and the Rebbe said, not in these words, what, get engaged at your age? Because they weren't really spring chickens, if you know what I mean. Get married already. What are you waiting for? So my sister, who thought basically her life was over because she was nearly 40, it was just beginning. Because she married this wonderful man, and Hashem gave them 4 beautiful children, 3 little boys. And you know, Hashem never closes the door before he opens another. A month before her daughter Gila got married, she had a little girl. The chuppah was in Stamford Hill. Rabbi Lou was Masada Kiddushin, and in the speech he said, they say marriages is made in heaven. This was made up there. Now when my sister flies alone, her husband tells her, be careful you're sitting next to on the plane. Why am I telling you this amazing true story? You can't even make this up. To tell you the punchline. Years went by. My sister, she couldn't do enough in every way Hasidish, and just name every chumrah. She was keeping everything. She was just so grateful to Hashem for what he did for her. And I once said to her, when I saw her, the way she was living, Baruch Hashem, the way Hashem wants her to, I said, Leah, I'm so happy for you. Baruch Hashem. I wish this could have been the first time around. I'm so sorry you had to go through what you did. I was shocked by what she told me. She said, Sarah, don't think we don't have arguments. Don't think we don't have ups and downs. My dear sisters, anybody who tells you, oh, we don't fight, oh, we don't have arguments, anybody who says that, I say, give me a break. They're either not talking to one another, or they're not telling the truth. I mean, obviously there's ups and downs. But she says now, when we have difference of opinion, no problem. We go to the local Rav. We ask, what does Torah say? What does Hashem say about this? I want this, he wants that. What does Hashem want? And she says, no problem. If the Rav paskins according to what the husband wants, it's not a clash of egos between her and him. It's what Hashem wants, the third partner. And she says, who knows? Who knows, Sarah? Maybe if I'd have had God in my first marriage, maybe I'd have still been married. I mean, obviously there are reasons why she had to divorce. It was horrendous marriage. But just think. Obviously Hashem is in every marriage. It's all meant to be. So this is my message, that marriage is really what you make of it. It sounds very simplistic, but the truth is, it's true. When you got married, where did your husband put the ring on? First of all, on the forefinger, and then on the ring finger. What does this mean? The forefinger, as we know, clinically, has a vein connecting straight to the heart. This ring finger is a very, very delicate finger. It's the most delicate finger. That's why when you put eye cream, you put it with this finger. Because what does this mean? The forefinger direct to the heart means when you get married, we get married with a passion and with a heart, which is how it's supposed to be. After time, you get married with the delicateness to know how to speak, how not to speak. The Rogatchover Rebbe said, the Rogatchover Gaon said, that we have to be married every minute, of course to the same person, because we should never take each other for granted. I'm not ashamed to stand in front, I'm proud to stand in front of you and tell you that a day does not go by in my davening, the Shema Kolenu part, that I put my private prayer so Hashem should guide me in my Shalom Bais, because I don't take it for granted. And I'm married 47 and a half years to the same man, a lady in California, to the same man? Yes, the same man. That's a big assumption. I daren't take for granted. We cannot take for granted, because it's a work in progress every single day. I was speaking once in, I think it was Australia, I don't know where it was, to a group of Israeli women. It's not my style to preach. I don't like to be preached to. And Persians have a saying, when you do this, 2 fingers go away, but 3 fingers go towards me. Who am I to preach? So I had a good idea. Instead of preaching to them, I said, if you had one wish, what would you wish for? It was very interesting. One lady said, my wish would be health. We're lacking in health in our family. Another lady said, my wish would be parnasa. We're lacking in financial help. We need parnasa. Another lady said, my wish is that our children should become human beings again, because they're driving us insane. My wish is my children should be, the way they're supposed to be. Finally, one woman said what I was waiting for. My wish is that we should have Shalom Bais, marital harmony, bliss in our home. And I was waiting for that. I said, this one wish incorporates all the other wishes. How so? We know that when there's Shalom Bais, there's everything. The Mishnah says, what's the best kli for parnasa or for health or everything, for brachas? Is Shalom. The one who was saying about parnasa, we know it's a fact. that parnasa flows from what? The Rebbe would always say this, and I'm quoting, Hashem gives parnasa to the husband only for the kavod of his wife. Means when he gives her kavod, parnasa flows. But it also means, because she is a channel of parnasa, that she should be there to bless him. Because if she's not blessing him, there's no parnasa, there's no bracha. The lady who's talking about health, we shouldn't even know, but it's a fact. Where does all chas v'shalom sicknesses come from? From stress, mostly in the home, mostly. Headaches, chest pains, belly aches, stress. It can come from stress in the home. The lady who's talking about her children, driving her insane. I mean, nowadays that's what teenagers hopefully don't do, but that's what they do. You know, right? You know, all the places, I've gone all over the world. I haven't been to Iceland yet, but I've been all over the world. Everywhere they take me, they usually schlep me to the school or the university or the college campus to speak to the children or students there. Every place. And every time I go, without fail, I have somebody saying, boys or girls, I'm never going to get married. Who needs marriage? Yeah, why? Sure enough, I hear, I remember my parents fighting. Who needs marriage? I'm turned off for life. We don't realize that the atmosphere in the home, how it can affect our children. Of course, it's normal to have difference of opinion. It's normal. It's even healthy. But how do we resolve it? I remember once I had a couple coming to me for counseling. They were married for 6 months, a couple from Crown Nice. And she's sitting there crying. I said, what's the problem? We argue. I said, okay, what's your problem? What do you mean? I'm telling you, we argue. I said, no, what's your problem? The fact was this young lady was raised in a home where the parents never fought. They never had different opinions, which is kind of unrealistic. She got married, and naturally there was a difference of opinion. Oh, I'm not supposed to have this. That's it. It's over, right? It's not over. It's how you fix it. That's part of marriage, how you fix it. So Shalom Bais. When you have that, we have everything. Shalom is one of Hashem's names. So when we have Shalom Bais, we have God in our Bais. The word in Hebrew for complete is Shalem. A Bais Shalem is Shalom Bais. When we have it, we have everything. If we don't have, we have nothing. Torah teaches us many things about Shalom Bais. Let's just learn a few things we can learn. And I'm sure you know this already. I'm just going to go over it with you. We know that when Moshe Rabbeinu went up to see the burning bush, Hashem says, take off the shoes of your feet because you're standing on holy ground. Does this make sense to you? Either you can walk or you can't walk. What makes a difference? Yes shoes, no shoes. What was the message Hashem is giving us from our own marriages? Why do we wear shoes? Not just for fashion or beauty. We wear shoes as a barrier between our feet. So the shoes are there as a barrier between our feet and the ground we walk on out there. If we go out without shoes, we'll be walking with great sensitivity. Hashem is telling us, your marriage is holy ground. Your intimate life with your husband is holy ground. Remove the shoes, remove the barrier between yourself and your spouse. We should not have pain, but we have to feel each other's pain. It's become like a cliche, I feel your pain. But the truth of the matter is, why should we not? When I have couples coming to me, I feel bad when I hear them say, I told her not to do it, she did it, now it's her problem. No, her problem should be your problem. You're one flesh. Like the famous story about the Tzaddik of Yerushalayim, Ari Levin. He went to the doctor with his wife, I'm sure you've heard the story, and the doctor comes out, Rabbi, how can I help you? And the rabbi tells the doctor, pointing to his wife's foot, Doctor, my wife's foot is hurting us. Hurting us because the pain, he felt it so intensely because they're one flesh. As we know from the Zohar, and I'm sure you know this, that a neshama and shemaim consists of two halves. There's a male half and a female half. When that soul descends in this world, those two halves separate. The male half becomes your husband, female half is you. And these two halves rejoin together under the chuppah with the third party, which is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If you think of a marriage like a triangle, it's a very solid geometric shape. That's your marriage. It's Hashem, you, and your spouse. The third partner, how can we not have the third partner? He's there anyway, so allow him to come in by how? By doing and keeping the blueprint he gave us for godly marriage, which is the three main mitzvahs, which of course, Taras Mishpacha, Kashrus, and Shabbos in general. In the 15 years that I was Zocher to be close to the Rebbe, I used to go every single day and plus every single Sunday for dollars. That's 15 years. I used to schlep people in to the Rebbe, and I used to be for totally selfish reasons because it meant I could get a chance to stand in front of him whilst all these people go by, and the Rebbe would tell me what to tell the person with their issue. I want you to know that 99.9 times when I would tell the Rebbe this person has an issue with this, with all sorts of issues that I hope nobody should ever know, ranging from marital infidelity to sickness to children, etc., etc. The Rebbe would tell me, please tell her to keep the laws of Taras HaMishpacha bidyuk. I'm ashamed to stand in front of you and tell you, many times I said, how can keeping mikveh help her relationship? How? Of course I had to teach and tell her. I saw miracles. I saw miracles. My books are actually about the miracles I saw with my own eyes. Miracles when I saw women start to keep Taras Mishpacha Biduk. I mean, you can keep it or you can really keep it. Don't ask me how this works, but it does, and it did. You know, they say marriage is 50-50. It ain't. It's really 200-200. I have to do my 100 and my husband's 100. And what about him? It's not a business deal, what he does, what I do. It's my pleasure to do his 100%. Why does it make me less if I make him higher? As Rambam says, make your husband the king, you'll be the queen. I was once speaking in Muncie, and the lady says, yeah, when I have a fight with my husband, argument with my husband, I always let him win, and I lose. Why? Because if I would win and he would lose, it means I'm married to a loser. I don't want to marry to a loser. So this is a very good way of looking at it. Why shouldn't we? But let's face it. Why is it always we are the person, we're the people who have to do everything? What about him? Why doesn't he do? We don't look at it that way. You know, I've got a theory. I'm right-handed. This hand does all the work, scrubbing, writing. This hand does half the amount of work that this hand does. So this hand should have ties to this hand? No, because they're both part of the same body. If I do more, if I do less, we do what we have to do. We know that Hashem gave us, the Jewish woman, the power to make the world the way it's supposed to be. You know, Shlomo HaMelech, the wisest of all men, what did he teach us? Many things. In code, he taught us something amazing. He wrote Eshes Chayil, we read that every Friday night. But he writes something very, not so we can't really understand it. The penultimate pasuk, he says, Sheker HaChain v'Hevel HaYofi, which we understand, you know, Sheker HaChain, charm is fake, beauty is transient, but we know there's a woman who reveres Hashem is to be praised, but we know that. What is he trying to tell us? Sheker HaChain. HaChain is spelled Hey Ches Nun. What does this stand for? It's an acronym for what? Hey stands for Hadlakat Nerot, lighting Shabbos candles. Chet stands for Chala, which is the mitzvah of kashrus. And Nun is for Nida, halachas of Taras Mishpacha. So Shlomo HaMelech, the wisest of all men, are telling us, if Sheker HaChain, if these three mitzvahs are done not the way it's supposed to be, then hey, Hevel HaYofi, what use is beauty? I see many times couples who come to me for counseling, and the woman is drop dead gorgeous, but the husband maybe doesn't see it, maybe because of this reason. Of course, as a good counselor, he turns to the husband and says, no, Tanula, give your wife the appreciation that she needs. Because the truth is, we need that. Women, that's the curse of Chava was what? That her need, her desire should be to her husband. And if he doesn't treat her like the goddess, that's a curse. But that be that as it may, we have to do what we have to do. We have to bring Mashiach. And the only way to do that is what? Being besimcha in the house. You know, there's a saying, when mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. Mm-hmm. When the woman in the home is happy, everyone's happy. It's a fact. We set the tone. If the woman is happy in the home, everybody's happy. Is it always easy to be happy, to be besimcha? No. Everybody has their trials and tribulations. We can't let that stop us. We have to be always besimcha and joyous in order to bring peace in the home. Because when there's peace in the home, there's peace in the world. I always have a little tip that I practice to make myself always besimcha, especially when I walk through the door and I go home. The mezuzah has a shin. We know it stands for letter of Hashem's name. Let it be the letter also, the sin of simcha, that when you walk, oh, simcha, you come in with a smile, it's important to smile. I mean, at my age, I need to like lift my face up. When you smile, everything just lifts up. So when you smile, everybody smiles with you. When I stand in front of you with a smile, you're going to smile right back. Important when you go home, especially tonight when you go home, huge smile. You see the difference it makes, even if you're not in the mood, to smile. Your bracha is a bracha that's going to bring Mashiach in the home and in the world. I have to share with you a true story. All these stories are true, you can't make them up. I got an email from this lady in Eretz Israel, in Ashdod. I actually went to Israel and actually met up with her. Her name is Amanda. True story. This is her story. She said that she's a woman from Canada, married an Israeli guy, moved to Ashdod, everything was fine. She had a baby, got pregnant very soon after, everything was fine. Her husband lost his job. In order to earn a few shekels, he took a job in a construction site. Didn't earn too much, but at least he went to work. But she said to me in the email, Mrs. Karmely, forget about loving my husband. I didn't even like him. I couldn't look at him. I was angry. I was upset. I stopped covering my hair. I was angry with Hashem. I went to my local shlucha, which is Hani Friedman in Ashdod. And she says, Hannah, I don't know what to do. I want to run away. Where am I going to go with a big belly and a baby? Is my marriage over? I don't want to look at my husband. I don't love him. Is my marriage over? She said, she gave me a copy of your book. It's not a sell for my book because I just have two, so it's not a sell for my book. She says, she gave me a copy of your book and I read it. And one of the articles, she says, really changed my whole outlook. The article was about, I wrote about a cousin of mine who lived in Eretz Israel, in Yerushalayim, Shkunat Bukharim. Amazing couple, Rav Yonatan and Sarah, relatives of mine. 14 children in a 2-bedroom apartment. Clean, beautiful place. And I wrote about how one morning I went to visit them, and the room he walked in was like the living room, dining room, whatever. So I saw what happened. We had a cup of tea. Then the husband got up to go to work. He had a Sforim store in Yerushalayim, it's still there. And in front of my eyes I saw what happened. His wife Sarah accompanied him to the door, walked with him to the door. As he was leaving, she stood there with a hand on the mezuzah and said out loud with great kavanah, Oy Hashem, take care of my husband, give him parnasa, guide him, protect him, guide him back safely home to me. And she sits down. I said, whoa, Sarah, I'm so impressed because I really was. I never saw this. She says, Betach. She says, you don't know? We women are the bracha to the home. If we bless our husband, he'll have hatzlacha. If not, not. So this lady, Amanda, she read this, and she says, it dawned on me that I'm being so selfish. My husband, at least he's trying. And she decided every single day she's going to give him a bracha when he goes to work. And she did so. One morning she overslept. The baby kept her up all night, and she overslept. The husband didn't want to wake her. You'd have to give him a bracha. She runs to the phone and she dials the office where he worked. They didn't have even enough money for a cell phone. She dials the office and they take the phone and she says, Bavakasha, I want to speak to my husband. Geveret, your husband right now is on a very flimsy scaffolding, 3 flights up. He can't go up and down. Call back in half an hour. He can't come down now. No, she says, I want to speak to him now. Tell him I want to speak to him now. They go and they say, your wife is on the phone. So for Shalom Bayis, he climbs down precariously from this scaffolding, goes to the office, takes the phone, she gives him a bracha, blesses him, etc., etc. Finally, when she finishes, he hangs up the phone. The moment he hangs up the phone, and there's witnesses to the story, the scaffolding where he was standing just come smashing down. People saw this, they were witness to this, and they realized, A, if she wouldn't have called him to bless him, or if he wouldn't have come down to get the bracha, there'd have been nothing left of him. Do you realize the power of your bracha? How important it is? We don't realize even how important it is. We don't realize how important, or we do realize, but the hard thing is to do it. So how can you bring your life the way it's supposed to be? To work on it. Marriage just doesn't happen. Make a date night. The Rebbe actually told me a few times, okay, I'll share with you what happened. My husband wasn't so crazy about me becoming Hasidish. He didn't exactly appreciate it. And I was unbearable to live with. And the Rebbe was guiding me every step of the way, how to be. You had to work with your husband, and your husband comes first. Well, what about me? No, he'll come to, just, what about your husband? What about your husband? So what happened was this, I remember writing to the Rebbe a very self-righteous letter, I've decided I want to do everything the way I want to do. you know, to be Hasidish, and he's not. Isn't it true that I have to do what I have to do? Isn't it true that I have to ignore what he says and do what I have to do, right? I thought the Rebbe was going to say, yeah, you do what you have to do. I got a two-part answer. I still have the letter at home. Basically, in brief, he said, number one, don't fight about religion, or about anything else for that matter. Why? Why is that so? I was whining to him, and I said something. It was a huge mistake, and I hope you learn from my mistake. I would tell him, you don't love me. If you love me, you would do it. Wrong. Never, ever, ever tell your husband you don't love me. Why do we say this? We want him to say, yes, I do love you. Right. Never do that. Because when you do that, you're brainwashing to think, wait a minute, she's my wife, she knows the real me. Maybe I don't. I learned what to do. Not too late, after 47 years, right? Now I tell him, what would you do without me? You're so lucky you've got me. Aren't you lucky? Aren't you amazing? You amazing wife you got. And he loves it. And he's beginning to believe it. He's beginning to believe it. What was this? It's true. You have to brainwash them, you know, to tell them how lucky they are.
It's a slow process.
Yes, very slow.
But it works. What was the second part? The Rebbe told me to get somebody else to be mashpia on your husband. It had to be someone else, because I'm not his rabbi, I'm his wife. Of course I can inspire, but it's not my job to be his Rebbe, to be his wife. I'm sorry, not to be his Rebbe or his rabbi, I'm his wife. Remember once I had a decision what to do in the summer, and I told the Rebbe, I don't know what to do. I wrote a letter that I have a choice. I can either go to Eretz Yisrael on my own, there I have no problem being the way I have to be, you know, halachically, or I can go to Thailand with my husband alone, and there I'm going to be in trouble, because there's going to be certain things we're going to have to do that I don't want to do. What should I do? So I went to 770, I gave the note upstairs by the Misrad, and I think it was Rabbi Klein said, Mrs. Karmely, run downstairs, 770, the Rebbe is giving out, I don't know what he was giving out to the women, I don't know what it was, he was giving out something to the women. He says, go, run down, you'll be on time. So I ran downstairs, and sure enough, I was nearly at the end of the line. When it came to my turn, the Rebbe looked at me and said, Bangkok with your husband. He says, what did he say? What did he say? I said, never mind. But it was amazing. I went with him, and coming back on the flight, my husband turned around and said to me, well, I expect I won't be seeing you for another year. Meaning, I'm so busy being a tzedekah, taking care of everyone. Charity begins at home. Our husbands come first, before the children. If you love your children, of course you love your children. Don't put the children first. Put your husbands. Your children need to see that mommy and tati put each other first. It's important for them. People don't realize how important that is. There's so many things I can actually share with you, and then we're going to leave time for questions and answers. But I just want to share with you, because there are a couple of people here who actually come from the same roots as me. The town called Mashhad, I don't know if you've heard about it, in Iran. This town in Mashhad, I don't know if you've heard about it, but it's like very, very different to the other Persian Jews. They don't, nowadays they do, but in those days they never would marry out. And other Persian Jews don't like us. They say, what, you think you're better than us? You just marry within yourselves? There's a reason for this, and I'd like to share with you. It's a very interesting reason. 150 years ago, there was a pogrom in the town of Mashhad. It had the name Al-Adadi. The Muslims got up and they told the Jews, either convert to Islam or we're going to kill you. 40 Jews got killed, and then the Chachamim got up and says, wait, we're going to tell them, okay, we're going to convert, but it's going to be a fake, of course, conversion. And it's handed down through the ages how the Jews kept everything in secret. They had underground mikveh, they had out-of-town matzah bakery, like the Hasidim, how they kept everything. Shabbos, no problem. Anybody who had a store, they would hire a young boy, non-Jewish boy, to stand and say, the boss isn't here, come tomorrow. No problem with everything. Just one problem. Shidduchim. Because if a non-Jewish family, a boy would come for the daughter of a Jewish family, for her hand in marriage, what are they going to say? No, because we're Jewish? They couldn't do that. So they hit on a very ingenious ploy. They betrothed their daughters, sometimes from birth. If someone was pregnant, they'd say, oh, if she's a girl, she's going to marry so-and-so. Why? Because like this, if anybody would come for the hand in marriage, they could honestly say she's betrothed to someone else to avoid intermarriage. Now, this wasn't a fake betrothal. When the girl would come of age, they would marry off. They said my great-grandmother married at the age of 9. Of course, the husband was sent out of the country before she was of age. So it was a true betrothal. Now, I just want to share this with you. When a child is born or when they grow up, you don't know how she's going to be or how he's going to be. You can have a little tiny little girl growing up to be this huge big woman, and her husband is a tiny shrimpy guy coming up to her on him, and maybe they don't match, personality. But guess what? They stayed married. They stayed married. They didn't think, well, we don't match. So, of course, there's a reason why we have Gittin, and the laws of Gittin come before the laws of Kiddushin. But the fact is, you don't get married with one foot out the door. We're coming now to the holiday of Shavuos very, very soon. I'm just going to go to Vienna and then go back the day before Shavuos. So what do we learn? Something beautiful the Rebbe taught about Shavuos. Amazing. We know that when we stood under Har Sinai, we weren't at the foot. Har Sinai was held over our heads like a chuppah. That was a chuppah. The ketubah was the Aseret Dibrot, and the camera by the chuppah was the thunder and lightning, and music with the light. But what did the Rebbe say about it? Hashem held Har Sinai over our heads and said, either marry me or I'm just going to destroy you under this mountain, because that's the reason for creating the world. If you don't marry me, it's over. So what are we going to say? No? We had to say yes. Naseh v'nishma, yes, we'll marry you. According to Torah, there's a halacha that if a man forces a woman to marry her, in other words by force, he's never ever allowed to divorce her unless she wants. Meaning, he's forced her and he's never allowed to kick her out. So the Rebbe said, by the same token, Hashem forced us to marry him. He's never ever allowed to divorce us. What a beautiful message. He's us for keeps, and we're his for keeps. The same thing in a marriage. Ups, downs, whatever it is, we're in it together. Yeah, there's ups and downs, but you don't appreciate the ups till you don't have the downs. When you have EKG, the line goes up and down. If it's flat line, you're in trouble. So life is ups and downs. To bear with that. Nowadays, it's just the me generation, I feel. What's in it for me? Yes, it's not easy. Sometimes there's trials and tribulations. So we seek help. We seek help. We have a mashpia. What happened to having a mashpia? The Rebbe would stress mashpia, to have a mashpia. So everybody should have a mashpia. A few more things I'd like to share with you, and then we'll go to questions and answers. There's a beautiful midrash about when the Yidden were in Mitzrayim. The men would come home tired, with welts on their back and being whipped, and the wives would approach the husbands because they wanted to procreate, have more children. The husband said, don't even talk about it. I've got all these, cut back, don't even talk about it. And they say, the Midrash teaches that the women would go to the Nile and catch fish, cook the fish, and then grind out the bones and the skin and make a healing salve and apply that on the husband's back and tell the husband, for me, you're not a slave. You're a king. And with that he had cheshek and he would be with her. Nowadays, of course, the men don't come with visible welts on their back, but it's not easy out there. When they come home in pain or suffering, we're there to help and to heal. But what happens, and it happens many times, that people are married so many years and I don't recognize, that's not the same person I married. No. I made a mistake. I was in Russia a couple of times and I had 6 couples for counseling, and practically each and every one of them said, I made a mistake. He said, well, when I married her, I didn't know she had this problem. I would have married if I knew. Or she said the same about him, which proves it was meant to be. Because if you saw that issue, you would not have married that person. So Hashem had to blind you not to see it. So Hashem doesn't do mistakes. So this is an amazing teaching to teach us that the person you're married to is the one Hashem wants you to be married to. We know, it starts like this, the Arizal teaches us, that when Hashem created the waters, the sea and the sky, he said, I'm creating you with one condition. When my children, when Bnei Israel want to come and cross Yam Suf, you have to separate for them. And the sea says, for who? For who? And Hashem says, look, for these beautiful twinkling neshamas, these are my children. When they come, you have to part for them. And the sea saw these amazing, shining, beautiful neshamas of the Jewish souls. for them, what a question. Of course I'll separate for them. Fast forward now to when the Yidden was standing in front of Yam Suf, and Moshe Rabbeinu was saying, no, separate. And the Nasi says, for who? For them? They're not the same souls I saw up there. Because they were, that's what we're saying, Omer now, because we descended so many levels. No, they're not the same. I don't recognize them. No, they're not the same souls I saw up there. It wouldn't open. What did they do? They brought the bones of Yosef HaSadik. What do you mean Yosef HaSadik? You mean Avram wasn't a Sadik? He was ready to sacrifice his son. Yitzhak wasn't a Sadik. He was ready to sacrifice himself. Moshe was not a Sadik. Why Yosef HaSadik? Because everybody knows the big nisayon that he had because of Potiphar's wife. He was able to restrain himself at that few moments of pleasure. He was able to restrain himself, and for that, till this day, we call him a Sadik. So the sea recognized, I recognize that's also party. Meaning what? Up in Shemaim, we recognize each other. Because we're the same soul. We come down in this world, time goes by. Sometimes we're a little bit, change. We're not the way maybe, we're supposed to be. So we don't recognize that's not my soul. It is our soul. Our duty is to besimcha, to be one another. We know avas chinam is what's going to bring Mashiach. And the Rebbe would always say, charity begins at home. How are we with our husband? We shouldn't feel that we're lower if we make him higher. Absolutely not. We elevate ourselves. I just want to share with you another few amazing stories, actually. This is not a story, it's a true story that happened, that a couple went by Yechidus by the Rebbe. I actually had the schus to actually be in the room with the Rebbe when I'll tell you my story, what he told us. This couple was in the room with the Rebbe, and basically they had a disagreement. Imagine disagreeing in front of the Rebbe. And the husband tells the Rebbe, look, my wife is not listening to me. Isn't it true that a wife has to listen to the husband? And the Rebbe smiled and says, no. It's written that the husband's conduct should be in a way that the wife should want to listen to him. So it shows us many things. But another interesting issue, I'm a very good friend with one of the specialists that the Rebbe had when the Rebbe had his first heart attack. And this famous heart doctor came to examine him. And he asked the Rebbe, what's your schedule for the day? Let's see if we can shorten it. So the Rebbe said the schedule for the day. And one of the things he said he does, he sits with his wife, with the Rebbetzin, over a cup of tea for 10, 15 minutes and had private time together. The doctor says, maybe you could cancel that. The Rebbe says, no, I won't. That has the same importance to me as laying tefillin. And he tells the doctor, you should do the same. Make time for your wife. We're talking about this world-famous doctor saving lives. The Rebbe says, I don't care. Your wife comes first. And who else should come first? We also know, and everybody knows this, if the Rebbe's wife would be on the phone and the Rebbe would come home, she'll tell the person on the other line, I have to go now, I have a guest. Boom, should hang up. Not because she was scared of him, Khalila. Not because he'd be angry with her. To give the message that you come first, and who else should come first? Who else should come first but a spouse? I once said this in San Diego. It was very cute. This woman was very impressed with this. She calls me up a couple of weeks later and she says to me, Karmely, what you told me about the Rebbe's wife, this really affected me. I decided, let me see if this works for my husband. She says, I waited till I heard him come through the front door. I'd run to the nearest phone and pretend to be on the phone. I'd say loudly, I gotta go now, I got a guest. She said, my whole life my marriage changed. He can't wait to come home. My wife is hanging up the phone when I come in. It's incredible how a little thing like this, it's a little thing that counts in a marriage. And the truth of the matter, it is a little thing that makes a difference. I was speaking once in New Jersey, exotic. I remember I was speaking to women about tznius, such a boring topic, right? And this woman in the audience was not convinced. Her name was Annette, vice president of this big famous corporation in Manhattan. She came, it was summertime, I remember a little tank top and a pair of shorts, and no, she said, this is me, I have to be me. I'm sorry, that doesn't apply to me. And I went home thinking, that's one woman I didn't reach. But sometimes they're the ones you think you don't reach that you do. A couple of days later she calls me and she says, Sarah, I really have to meet with you. I said, Annette, I'm really busy, because I really was. Can you just tell me on the phone? No, I have to meet with you. Maybe come to Manhattan, we'll go out for lunch. Fine, I had to go anyway to Manhattan. We're sitting and having lunch. And she told me, she says, you remember you came and you spoke about this whole thing about modesty and sneers? I said, yeah. She said, this didn't apply to me. But she says, that night, I had this awesome dream. I'm talking about a woman who's like, you know, a smart woman she didn't make this up. She says, I had a dream in Technicolor. In my dream, I dreamt that Mashiach had come. Mashiach had come, and I saw in front of me this Beit HaMikdash. The Beit HaMikdash was just shining. She saw pictures of the Beit HaMikdash shining in the light, and it was amazing. The doors were open, the gates were open, people were running through the gates. The excitement was contagious. I started running through. But when it came to my turn, they said, not you, sorry. I said, why not me? Why them and not me? They said, excuse me, but look how you're dressed. You can't go in like that. In my dream, I looked down and I woke up. I was mortified because I saw in my dream I was wearing my little sort of tank top and shorts, and I realized it's true. Mashiach can come any second. I'm not going to be ready. Sarah, she says, where'd you buy your shaitels? Where'd you buy your skirts? And guess what? She changed her whole life around. She's not Annette anymore. She's by the Jewish name Hannah. And she's a mikveh lady in Tenafly, New Jersey. The true story. But, you know, the Baal Shem tells you can learn from everything. What did I learn from this? I was very impressed. You know, it was a big move for this lady. And I thought, what am I going to learn from her? And I learned, you know, every time I go to the Rebbe, which was every day, of course I would go very, very tznius, you know. And I thought, you're such a hypocrite. You should be dressed like this all the time. Hashem is everywhere. So after that I learned that anytime I'd buy any outfits, could I go to the Beit HaMikdash in this outfit? Yes, if not, no. Because it could happen any second, any minute, and it is. So we have to be prepared for it physically, emotionally, spiritually, dress the part, acting the part. As we know, you're all representatives of the Rebbe, and I see from around me that you are, Baruch Hashem, worthy representatives, shluchos of the Rebbe. Any questions before I continue? I've got a few more minutes. Or unless you'd like to write down any comments or any questions on the cards and pens in front of you, please do so and hand them in. Why not? Maybe your question will help another woman. Okay, I'm going to share with you a couple more stories, because I think stories do more than all the teachings and preachings. Story about the Divrei Chaim, true story. In the olden days, how would they make shidduchim? In a very easy way. The parents of the chos and the parents of the kala would get together. I have a son, you have a daughter, and make the match, and they were fine. This particular case, the young man, who's actually known as the Divrei Chaim, brilliant Talmid Chacham, a very, very special bacha, they made a shidduch to a young lady who was known to have all the good midos, very Iyar Shemaim, beautiful, smart, good yichus. Wedding day was set, everything was fine. Fast forward now, wedding night. All the wagons come rolling in, and the kala is upstairs in her bedroom, peeping behind the curtain to take a first glimpse of her future chassan. Finally, the last wagon came in, and they called out, the chassan is here, the chassan is here. Heart pounding, she's looking to see glimpse of her first glimpse of her chassan. He walks out of the wagon, he walks across the courtyard and comes in. Well, she just takes one look, bursts into tears, slams the bedroom door closed and locks it. I'm not marrying him. They cheated me. They tricked me. Why? Because he was hunchbacked and lame. And she was a healthy, beautiful young lady. I'm not marrying him. Tell everybody to leave. The parents come up on the door knocking. What are you doing? Come down. We're all waiting. I'm not marrying him. Tell them all to leave. Rabbi comes up. No luck. Finally, Nebuch, the young boy, Bacher is standing by. He says, do you mind if I go up and speak to her? Gesund to hate. She's not listening to us, she'll listen to you. Go and try. He limps painfully up the steps. He comes to her door and knocks on the door. Go away, leave me alone, I'm not coming out. He says, listen, I've come all this way to see you. Can you give me 5 minutes and then I will leave if you wish? Well, something in his voice touches her. She says, 5 minutes and that's it, then you have to leave. Fine. She unlocks the door, he limps through the door, and he stands in front of a full-length mirror. and he asks her, would you mind coming, standing next to me? I'll humor him. She goes and she stands next to him. She turns around to see the reflection in the mirror. And she nearly faints, because what does she see? Not anyone next to her, a hunchback, crippled, lame young man. No. Handsome, tall, healthy. She's the one with the hunchback. She's the one who's lame. She says, what is this? What does this mean? What's going on? He said, my precious future color, he says. You should know, up in Shemaim, it was Beshert, that I was going to be the healthy one. You're going to be the one with the problem. But in my great Rahmanas for you, I said, Hashem, please don't let it happen to her. Who's going to marry her like that? Let it be me. And Hashem listened to me, and here we are. They got married, had children, teaching us what? A very valuable message. If and when we see a lack in our spouse, we shouldn't see that, because it's not modest. But if we see that lack in our, a chisar in our spouse, we have to think, maybe that had to happen to me. Maybe it was supposed to happen to me, and have Rahmanas. We know that when Hashem created Adam and Chava, why is it written that he put Adam to sleep and created Chava? It's not a he said, she says book. To teach us, sometimes you have to be a little asleep, not to notice a chisaron in our spouse. It's not modest. To have Rahmanas and to understand whatever he is or whatever she is, it's good because it's what makes her or him, and it's part of me. Because none of us are perfect. One more story, and then we'll have any questions. I'll write them down and hand them up. Please, don't feel shy. Okay, this is also a story to teach us that we know everything is beshert, but to really implant on us that it is really all beshert. How did the Jews keep money in the olden days in Europe? Not in the banks. They would give it to the local Rav, and he would keep basically the money in a gemach, and he would give it out as a free loan fund. One day in this particular town, this rabbi was learning an intricate part of Gemara. In through the door walks Rabbi Yossel, a simple shoe repairer. He'd come and he'd borrowed money for his daughter's wedding, and he came and says, Rabbi, I've come to repay the loan you gave me. I've got the money in advance, so I'm giving you in advance the money. He puts the money down and he leaves, and the rabbi takes the money, and he really means to get up and take down this big ledger with all the names of the people, with the amount and the date, and cross off his name. But he was in the middle of such a juicy part of the Gemara, he didn't want to put it down. So he continued to study, and without thinking, absent-mindedly, he takes the money, tucks it into the folder of the Sefer, and he continues to learn for hours and hours. What happens when he finishes studying? Closes the Sefer, puts it away, forgets about the money, out of sight, out of mind. He forgot about it. Time goes by, and Rav needs money to give us a gemach. Money is lacking. Who owes me money? Oh, Rabbi Yossel owes me money. Please go and bring Rabbi Yossel. Rabbi Yossel comes in. Yes, Rabbi, how can I help you? He said, Rabbi Yossel, you know the money I lent you, do you think maybe you can repay it because people need it? He goes white. He says, Rabbi, you don't remember? I gave you back the money. Rabbi Yossel, look, your name is not crossed off. If you would have given it to me, I would have, could you give me some of the money at least? Rabbi Yossel said, Rabbi, I'm ready to go and swear by the Holy Sefer Torah that I gave you back the money. Oh, Chas v'shalom, no, you're not allowed to swear by the Torah. Don't worry, don't worry. Well, the rabbi can say don't worry, but what happens in every town? People start to talk. Fair. Rabbi Yossel didn't give back the rabbi's money? Disgusting. They put him in cherem. They didn't give him any business. He had no money. Nebuch, he got so poor that he had to sell his home and move into an out-of-town, broken-down hut. A whole year goes by where Rabbi Yossel suffers. His wife suffers. The children are running around hungry in rags, no food. And Rabbi Yossel says, why do bad things happen to good people? What did I do, Hashem? I gave back the money. Why are you punishing me? No answer. The year comes to a close. The rabbi takes down the same sefer that he was learning from a year before. As he opens it, out plops the money. He looks at, what's this money? And it comes back to him that he really, Rabbi Yossel gave back the money. How could I have done this to him? Puts on his coat, runs out to Rabbi Yossel's house. Where's Rabbi Yossel? Oh, he had to move out. Take me to him right now. They take him to Rabbi Yossel's broken down ramshackle hut, and he's looking at this broken with leaking roof, and he's seeing the children crying from hunger. Rabbi, so please forgive me, Mechila, how could I have done this to you? Please forgive me. Yes, I forgive you, Rabbi. Just look what I'm reduced. So I forgive you. And the rabbi's saying, I have to do something to make up for it. Oh, he says, you know what I'm going to do? This week, I'm going to proclaim everybody has to come to shul. I'm going to stand up in front of the Sefer Torah, and I'm going to tell everybody that you were right, I was wrong, you did give me back the money, I made a mistake. What do you think about that? Rabbi, save your breath. You know what people are going to say? We have such a tzaddik as a rabbi, he's trying to help this poor Jew. They're not going to believe you. And he thought, unfortunately he's right. A lot of people don't judge with kashrus. But I have to do something to help this poor man. He's thinking, oh, I know what. Rabbi Yosef, you have a daughter of marriageable age? Yeah. Rabbi Yosef, I have a son of marriageable age. What do you say we make a shidduch between our children? Like this, people would believe me when I say you are innocent. What do you think about that? But Simcha, of course he agrees to such a match. And the match was made between the daughter of this poor, simple Jewish shoe repairer to the son of this famous rabbi, who in turn he would become the rabbi of the town. Does anybody here in a million years think that such a match would have been made? No. But it was meant to be. It was b'sheret. 40 days before your mother conceived of you, before they conceived you, already it was b'sheret who you're going to get married to. And sometimes Hashem has to go through all these intricate plots and plans in order to achieve this match. So our job is to be b'simcha, to lighten up, to make date nights. It's very important, once a week at least, to make date night. And when you go out, don't talk about the car, the bank, the children. Just enjoy one another. It's so important to do that. It really is. Make it happen. Am I right?
What else is there to talk about?
That's sad to hear that. Talk to me later. What did you speak up when you was going out dating? That's what you have to. That's why the Rebbe was very,
That was all theory.
Now you have to do.
Yeah.
But the Rebbe actually used to say to people that, when they're going out, to make sure that when you do go out, to remember how it was when you were dating, to remember those times.
Go for a walk. Go with a bunch of friends.
You don't exactly.
Yeah.
You don't have to go and spend a ton of money. You can go for a walk, go for an ice cream. So I'm going to ask, you're not asking me.
You don't get to talk about because the kids won't give you like 1 second to get a word in edgewise.
You have to. When you show the children that you want to have time with Tati, it's a very, very good message to them. You're not asking me a question. I'm going to ask you some questions. You ready for this? What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? What would your dream job be? What have you been telling yourself has been stopping you from your dream life? What are you doing that's a waste of time? What aspect of your life is most out of balance? What are you putting up with? How does living the life you most want look like? What legacy do you want to leave to others? And what are you most grateful for? I like this. What do you mean grateful? We are called Yehudim after Shevet Yehuda. And he was the son of who? Leah. And we know that Leah, you all know the story how she didn't feel the loved one. And finally when she had her fourth son, she says, now I know my husband will love me. And she called her son Yehuda from the Shorish, Hoda'ah. Thank you, Hashem. I'm grateful to you, Hashem. Hashem liked that. For the first time in history, somebody blessed Hashem and thanked him. Hashem says, yeah, I want to call my children Yehudim after Shevet Yehuda, named by the Jewish woman. You, the Jewish woman. Don't ever think you don't have the power to change the world. Because you do. One woman. You see a woman out there, maybe she's not as fortunate as you, maybe she doesn't know about Taras Mishpacha. Yes, tell her. Explain to her. Oh, I'm too... Don't be embarrassed. I remember sitting in 770 down by the men's section. The Rebbe was talking to us women, and he said something very revolutionary. He says, ladies, you teach people about Shabbos, about giving candles. You tell women about kashrus. Now tell them about Taras Mishpacha. And it was like, whoa. You can't tell someone what to do in the bedroom. You can tell what to do in the kitchen or the living room, but the bedroom? The Rebbe says, no. How else would they know? So don't be shy. I know you have these leaflets on the table of Taras Mishpacha. Or just tell them, would you like me to take you? Would you like me to teach you? And something, women are ready. Women are so... Why should they be deprived? One woman you can help to take to the mikveh. It's not just one woman. It's her husband, her children, her grandchildren, her whole entire mishpacha. That's why it's called Taras Mishpacha. Any questions? I did one. Now let's hear some points or some questions you have. Don't be shy. Yes?
When you say, obviously I'm on the side where I'm listening to all the complaints and all the torture, the abuse, whatever it is that's going on, and they're due to be married, and she's carrying on with it. She's an older girl. She thinks it's her only chance.
You know what? It's not a mitzvah to be abused. It's not. Hashem doesn't want you to be abused. Of course, nowadays everything becomes abuse. You know, he told me to cook dinner, I'm being abused, you know. No, that's not abuse. Come on, that's not.
That is abuse.
The truth of the matter...
You don't make supper, that's abuse.
Yeah, you have to make the men food if they're like, you know, Yossi Jacobs says, ladies, I was in a Shabbaton, he says, ladies, you want to know what helps your husband? I'm a man. I'll tell you what men want. I'm a man. When your husband comes home from work, he wants a big plate of greasy French fries. That's what he wants. He's not going to fight because he's going to say something else he's upset about, but he really wants the greasy French fries. He says, I go to these health food stores, I see skinny people around, I want to call the Chevra Kadisha. What is this, you know? But the truth of the matter, yeah, if they're already having problems when they're engaged, no, it doesn't. You have to, should be the best time of their life. If they're already having problems when they're engaged, for some reason, I was just mentioning to the Rebbetzin before that I don't understand what's going on in Crown Heights. It's like an epidemic, people breaking off the marriage, breaking off the engagement before they get married. It's like, why is that happening? Why don't know before you get engaged? Because people think, if I don't, then who's going to marry me? You can't settle. You can't settle.
What about the marriages now? Also, what can you say to
well, okay, wait, I'm sorry, let me just answer this. The truth of what you just said, I'm sorry, it's a very, very big difference. Before marriage, no compromise. After marriage, compromise. Unless it comes to abuse, and then, you know, it's not a mitzvah to be abused. Before marriage, no compromise. After marriage, compromise. If people are already married, you go for help. And I just want you to know this is something that really is clinically been proven. If and when Chas v'shalom, a couple goes through difficulties in a marriage and they stick it out, their marriage becomes so much stronger after because they've gone through hardships. If you stick it out and you really make it work, it's much, much stronger after. We can't just throw in the towel for every little thing. Of course you have to go for help. Go to someone who's observant, not just any person out there. They can say, oh, just get divorced. That's what it is. It's become the fashion. You know, we know that the laws of Gittin comes before the laws of Gittin, but at the same time, why is it written the Mizbeach cries when there's a divorce? Because the Mizbeach is a place where we did sacrifices, and Hashem said, you can't sacrifice a little bit for me? Again, not abuse. We're not advocating abuse. It's not a mitzvah. But if this couple is going through this problem, that's not a way to get married.
Well, I know that I'm desperately begging her to explain this, and she actually knows it herself, but she's just not giving in.
She's scared in case she's not going to get married to someone else. It's so wrong to do that.
It's very wrong, but I would say that I don't know what to say to her.
Can I interject?
Yeah.
I got married the first time I was an older girl. I was 25. Woohoo, so old. Yeah, all my friends were married. And I got married and it wasn't the smartest thing I ever did, and then I got divorced and I was almost 30. And the second time around, I didn't compromise anything. And I'm married to this wonderful man, and I've been married for 8 years. So it might have something to do with, I don't know, maybe some self-esteem. It's very hard when the peer pressure, and it's very difficult.
It's just I wish there was a magic word I could just say to her, and that she would. But the thing is, am I actually barking down the right tree by wanting to convince her that it's wrong? Maybe I'm just seeing something. Maybe I should just be supporting her in a different way.
Will she listen to someone else? Will she go to a Rav or Mashpia? Does she have a Mashpia? Are you a Mashpia? No. You see how much we need a Mashpia? The Rebbe would say so many times to have a Mashpia. Maybe she should like push off the wedding a little bit. A little bit. What?
They say Ezehu Chacham, Haoret Hanolad. Why doesn't it say Haoret Hatid? Because Hanolad means what is conceived from this moment. A person has to see not the future, we don't know the future.
Never know.
But what I do today will lead to something tomorrow. So if you're engaged and you're feeling disquiet, then Haoret Hanolad.
Right. The truth of the matter, you know, Marriage is really what you make of it. If, let's just say, they get married and they really decide to keep halachas and all the things they know they're supposed to be, you know, in every way, keeping the mitzvahs, you know, you can't really fail. But if you know you're going to get married and you're going to compromise on this and compromise on that, and they're not going to keep this properly, because it's really like a blueprint, you know, for godly marriage. Why do I say godly marriage and not a happy marriage? All the books out there, how to have a happy marriage. And if the marriage is not so happy at that moment, it can continue if it's a godly marriage. So it could be, I'm just saying, it could be that if they get married and they commit themselves to one another, like 200%, 200%, it could work. But again, it's very dicey. If already they're going through, you know, tribulations from now. Let's hear some questions or comments. You can help other people. Let's hear. Don't be shy. Yes. Any comment? No?
Just the idea that if you're in a certain situation, you know, Hashem's put you there for something. Yeah.
Of course, you do what you have to do. My way is always, if, let's say, somebody asks me, I'm nervous about teaching Taras Mishpacha, I'm nervous about speaking to my friend, just say, Hashem Sfatah Tiftach, you know, Hashem put the words in my mouth, and He really does. Just use me as a vessel just to, you know, to help the people around me. But that's, we women, we're like that. You know, we're just there to really help other people. You know, I was in Yerushalayim. Every time I go, I usually say, in the old city, and I love to go down at midnight by the Kotel. You know, they have every midnight they have Nishmas Kol Chai. This happened quite recently. I remember I was running down to the Kotel. Say that wall over there's a Kotel, and it was 11:30 and midnight. There's going to be Nishmas Kol Chai. My cell phone rang, and it was this lady. I hope nobody should know what this woman is going through. Just, I hope you should not know. A husband who wants to divorce her, a sick child, no money, horrendous life, and I don't even know what to do for her anymore. So she calls me and she's hysterically screaming and wailing. I said to her, shh, you know, I'm standing in front of the most holy place in the world. Wait, I'm going to go and put the phone on top of the Kotel. Anything you want to Hashem, just ask. I didn't know what to do anymore for her. So I went and I put the phone on the Kotel. I says, you're on. What do you think she asked for? She didn't ask anything for herself. She just